Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we are swarmed and devoured by the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Joe Christopher Marcus Porter.
And I've got, unlike our antithesis here, I've got my boots on the ground. This is Jim O'Kane from every other podcast you haven't listened to yet.
Yeah, it's easier to list the podcasts you haven't been a part of than it is to list your actual credits. But welcome back, Jim.
Thank you. Yeah. It's fun watching the end of dearly beloved Devchenko.
It is. This is it. This is like one of the most memorable parts of the movie, I would say. This is the one that begins with Indy hitting Devchenko with a branch, and it ends with Indiana Jones, master of ants, retrieving his hat. So yeah, this fight has been going on. It went all last minute, and even before that, and we talked about Indy grabbing that branch, and he, kind of clobbers Devchenko over the head, and that seems to be the tide turn for the thing, and he's kind of just wailing on Devchenko. He's been doing the whole time, and then he does Devchenko's just sort of standing there, kind of frozen, and then he's about to punch him again, and he falls back. But I'm like, the punch before that, why was that the punch that finally did in Devchenko? Like he's been doing these haymakers the entire time, just like pop it up, like you were saying, Jerry. It was like the whole fight has been the last like 30 seconds of the Pat Roach fight in Raiders, where it's just like hit after hit.
Well,
it's cumulative.
I guess so, yeah. But
wait a minute. That branch comes right down on Devchenko's head, and it's like a clear break, like right in the middle of the branch, and it just goes blue, and it like splits. And I think that's the one that does him in. As bizarre as that looks,
that could be.
I think that's the one that does him in. Except Devchenko, either he has like so much spirit in him that he just can't fall. He's either one of those types of guys, or B, he's so out of it that he can't fall. Because there's that one shot, like where Indy, like he gives him like a right hook, like he hits him with he gives him like a right hook and then a thing with a double fister, and then and Devchenko looks at him with this like mouth filled of blood clown
That's
smile.
So gross.
It's really
disgusting.
Yeah,
it's really creepy. He looks like a hockey player.
Yeah.
And
or it looks like a kid playing a hockey player for Halloween, and he's got a bunch of
it's like where his teeth would be. There's this just red gelatinous, goo blood.
Is it red though? Because it's like it looks like Hershey's syrup. I mean, it looks like it's like a black and white movie that they're filming, and they just go with the chocolate syrup instead.
No, it's true. It looks like no, you're right.
Makes me feel better. Maybe he was just eating ice cream.
Yeah.
He's too full.
You got your blood in my chocolate. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter.
It may have been a couple of like precursor ants. It looks like that same kind of gut jam.
God.
That is the ants when
it's
they
foreshadowing
get
from a few seconds later.
But and at first you think it's going to be that Pat Roach moment from Raiders where it's like Indy just pulled out all the stops, and if he doesn't fall this time, then Indy's Coitons.
Yeah.
And I guess that's when it's like he's so stupefied and dazed. He's got birds around his head. He just happens to be standing.
His posture saved him, I think. He's got really good posture, and just kept him on his heels.
Yeah, he was never taught how to fall.
And why does Indy withhold that final punch? Is it A, he shows clemency, B, he doesn't want to expend energy when he doesn't need to?
I think it's B.
Yeah.
I think he sees that he's falling. He's like, oh, he's down already.
Yeah.
I would actually miss him because he's falling away from me.
Yeah, I would fall on top of him.
I don't feel like whiffing in front of the Russians.
My biggest question in this whole minute is, how do you yell with a mouthful of ants?
Right. For a little bit, sure, but not like we see like a torrent of them going down there, and he's still screaming like a baby.
You know what's weird though is that I feel like Indy has, you know how they say like if you ever taste human flesh, like if you're a cannibal and the first time you eat it, you'll be craving it for the rest of your life. And I feel like
They do?
it's the same thing with Indy. With I've
Is
heard
that from Reader's Digest?
What are you talking
probably, yeah. It's one of those things you hear as a kid, and you're like, it always sticks with you, and it probably has absolutely no basis in reality.
about? Cannibalism.
But I-
Poland Oates told me that one. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like Indy, like when he saw Pat Roach get chopped up by the propeller, like he turned away. But I feel like he must have looked back and seen it. He must have developed a taste for gore, because
Maybe.
now when Dovchenko gets eaten alive, Indy's just staring intently. He doesn't turn away.
Or it could also be like, he learned from that he doesn't have to finish his own fights. He can just
Let the ants do it.
he can let some dangerous creature or thing nearby finish the bad guy off for him.
He's waiting for like an ant propeller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like,
Come
darn
on.
it, there's no plane. What am I gonna? Oh wait, there are thousands of ants. Although
know,
you know what? I
doesn't
take
turn
that
away
back
either.
though. To be fair, Indiana Jones beats Devchenko. Devchenko just like the ants just sort of get rid of the body for him. Like he's down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he immediately raises his head, which makes me think he's not that down.
That's
yeah,
true.
okay. It's fascinating because it does appear that Indy gets the best of Dovchenko in the the scrap chap brawl
Yeah.
or ball.
Initially,
So-
I don't know if that, like, if it weren't for ants, I don't feel like necessarily Indy would have won.
I mean, he could
Well,
just,
in every one of these scrum chum beatings, there's a third force that comes along. It's either
Yeah.
a propeller
Mhm.
or it's in Temple of
That
Doom.
pulley,
Oh, the
thing,
rock
that-
pulley,
crusher
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
then in this, it's the ants that are kind of the coup de grace.
See, it's funny because in Temple of Doom, Indy tries to help Pat Roach and tries to save him,
Yeah.
and then in and then in
I don't agree
I was
with
gonna get it. And then, but then in Raiders, he just turns away, but he doesn't try to save him. And then when we get here, he's just watching, like,
I feel like he's developed a taste for gore.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, go ahead, Jim.
Oh no, I was thinking. Well, Pete, you had said earlier that Spalco doesn't turn away. I don't know how you can turn away if you're hanging from a vine.
That's right.
I don't
close
think
your
you
eyes,
get much of
I
a
guess.
choice. Yeah.
Well, so nothing.
Well, I'll ask a question. Does Spalco, what is she thinking as she sees Devchenko's ant-covered body being carried into the anthill?
I'm just
See, I
she's
feel
just
like-
saying. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think they're both genuinely like scientifically curious. They both, because neither of them seems. They're both just kind of like, huh.
Huh? Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Well,
Okay, so back to Indy's countenance during this. He's watching Dovchenko with the ants, and it's like he's watching his demise. Does it suggest a sadness or like a gratitude or like, oh, this is just the necessary pain of life? Because he does have this, it appears this existential moment while he's watching them.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
And,
more
and
like? Is it like Sic Semper Tyrannis? Is that how he's coming across? Or?
it's very hard to read.
I think it's a lot of, I mean, A, it's I'm exhausted. Thank God this fight is over. B,
Yeah.
oh, thank God I won. But yeah, I think there is a lot of like, it is kind of like the Pat Roach thing because he didn't want to, I don't think he was glad that the German mechanic got his face spewed off by a propeller. Like, I don't think that's how he would have chosen for the fight to end necessarily. Like, he would probably prefer to just beat him up until he, I don't know, got brain damage and had a horrible life after that or something. I don't know. But, I think, so I think as he's watching Devchenko get eaten by ants, he's kind of like, this is horrible. But yeah, like you said, Jerry, this is kind of like how life happens. I mean, we're in the jungle. Like, nobody cares what's happening to individual people here. This is like, just life happening all around us. And sometimes it's ugly and hideous. And,
I'm wondering what the directorial note was as the camera is closing in on his face. It's like, okay, Harrison Ford, look blank. Like, what were they telling him to look? Like, look, Yeah, he
He
kind of
did tell him to look blank because then the audience would project whatever they wanted to on him.
The blanks, tabula rasa.
Yeah.
What is he doing with his hands though? He goes from making a fist, and then he does one of those Guinan, like the 2-fingered, tiger move, and then he makes another fist as he's bringing it down. It just continuity.
He does, yeah.
Oh yeah.
he does.
Well, that is weird.
It's almost like a way of saying adios.
Maybe. Or it's like, his fist of punching it, like his weapon fist turned into like a kind of tension fist of like, ugh, I'm watching this guy get eaten by ants. That was gross.
Well, let me ask you this in terms of such a visceral moment, Dovchenko's demise, and we have the ants that are pouring into Dovchenko's mouth. Is this a callback to Belloc eating the fly?
Like, oh, you think he ate a fly? We'll give you insects in the mouth.
Even more.
Or could this be like, dinner at Pankot Palace?
Oh,
See,
Yeah,
I'm just
maybe.
saying there's a lot of insects and arachnids and arachnoids and in mouths.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was originally, this was going to be in one of the other movies, and it didn't end up being.
Oh, you might be,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I
Sounds familiar.
remember. I don't remember his Last Crusade. There was going to be one of them. They were going to have a scene where someone got devoured by ants,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it didn't happen. So I think this is something they've been wanting for all that time.
It would be fun if you just, like, he's yelling, but then the reason he's yelling is like, no, they're raw. That's gross. Of course, I'd love to eat ants, but no, they should be prepared correctly.
or screaming, I thought it would be piranhas.
Right. I wanted the chilled monkey brains.
Well, there is an irony to ants going into your mouth, and then the ants are eating you from the inside.
I guess, yeah.
Well, are they? I because they seem like they carry him whole into the nest, and I'm wondering if they're just like if the queen is going to eat him like all of him, or if
what
they're going
is
to
he? What is he
going
going to wind up like? First of all,
God.
he goes into the ant house like the Titanic sinking.
Yeah.
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 It's kind of straight up and then whoosh.
It's exactly like when you would try to imagine what Oscar the Grouch's garbage can was like on the inside. Like what actually goes down inside there.
But we have where I walk my dog at night in our neighborhood. There's a squirrel that got unfortunately pummeled by a truck a few weeks ago, and I can tell the ants are doing pretty much in slow motion what they're doing.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. To Dovchenko, they're very efficient, or they're slow, but they're very efficient.
Yeah.
And it's one of those circle of life things that you go, yeah,
Right.
that's what happens. Except not at this speed. Jerry, I have a question about the music.
For sure.
It's an unusual time signature, and I can't figure out what it is. I was thinking it's like either 5/4 or 13/8. It's this dun 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 dun, and I've been trying to clap to it, and I can't clap to it, but I'm not a very good clapper. I'm a 4/4 guy, so it's just.
Oh, hang on, I have to listen to it.
Yeah,
I
you have to
hear
listen
what
to
you're
the audio
saying,
and everything.
I mean,
It feels like it should be a familiar time, but
it's in. You know what? I think it's in 7/4. I think.
okay.
Dun dun da 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 dun dun
Yes.
dun 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 da 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 dun dun.
Huh.
Something like it's either that, or as you said, I'd have to listen again. May have been if it's 1/8 note less, then I guess that would be 13/8.
8, yeah.
Yeah, so one of those.
Yeah.
But you're right. I didn't notice that. That's pretty cool, actually. It creates tension
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
when you have that type of sort of odd time signature.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of early Johnny Williams before he was John Williams.
Yeah.
Like Land of the Giants or one of those things. He loved that Lalo Schifrin off time kind of it's some unusual signature, and it's beautiful here because, like you said, it just builds this tension. Like you're waiting for something that it's a lot like not Nicholas Meyer, James Horner does when Khan is fighting Kirk. And you're gonna that whole that whole feel. I think I think that's a 7/4 as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
But beautiful orchestration there, especially when the hat comes up and we get the indie theme and you get that the baritones come out and the French horns and the trombone and then the trumpets, and it's like let's give the brass section a little workout here.
Right.
And it does feel really good.
Yeah.
It does, and Tommy's going to complain about stuff.
Yeah.
Because no matter how you feel about seeing the hat and seeing Indiana Jones and the hat and Indiana Jones, there's no reason in the movie for the ants to just leave it alone or to leave Indy alone.
No, it's because he's carrying the skull.
Because he's
Yeah,
carrying
they've
the
got
skull.
the crystal skull is right behind him.
He uses
took it from
the
Oxley.
skull.
Yeah, Oxley's getting devoured by ants right now because Indy
that
took it from him
sucks.
to get the hat.
What a rotten friend Indy is.
Well, the
Okay,
hat's
that's a
very
good point.
important.
But that's okay. I'm going to look at it again because like the hat gets,
Yeah, they
relieved
all start
first.
fleeing when he walks up because he's got the skull. Like they start moving like directionally away from the
I
skull.
guess you're right. Yeah, he's actually carrying
Yeah,
the skull. Isn't
He's
he?
carrying
All
the
right.
skull. I wonder, do you think he's going to put the hat on the skull?
You're the new Indiana Jones, not that kid
Yeah.
over there. I kind of watched that movie.
Wow, this
there's-
whole time he does have the bullwhip. It's right there.
That's right.
That's
on
so
his head.
weird.
God,
Ready to
that's so
go,
weird.
you know?
I did
Yeah.
not even notice.
Hey, by the way,
yeah.
I don't know if we ever came back to this, but it's been haunting me in the back of my head for years now. I think that Belloc actually takes his whip in Peru. Like when he comes out of the temple, he takes his gun.
Oh, yeah.
and
I
he
think
takes.
you said
I
that,
think
yeah.
you see him take his whip, which really bothers me. Because I don't like the idea of him having like multiple whips. Like guns,
No.
sure, he could have a couple of different guns.
But that would explain why, because this whip at the beginning of Raiders would have been his whip from Temple of Doom,
yeah,
and in Temple of Doom he had that really long one that he used because he swung from that light.
Mm.
So
oh
that would
right,
explain why it's shorter now.
maybe.
See, it's all.
Now, if the other the Jeep pulls up and Spalco drops down on top of it, if the Jeep was not there, would he have let Spalco down?
Mm.
Because he got the whip, he would have,
Maybe he would
I
have
feel
done
like he
like
would've.
trying
I
to
feel
cope, deal with her, like reason with her, like come on, we're all in a fix, we're out here in the jungle. We
Yeah.
That
kind of
actually
want the same thing.
That
I
would have
don't
been
know.
really cool, actually.
Yeah, if they teamed
Yeah.
up or something like that, you're just along
Or-
for the ride, and then have Mac and the other ones show up toward the end, and then
Mhm.
she could be the turn.
Oh
But,
yeah,
But-
being an unwilling
I
accomplice.
like that.
Indy
Yeah.
Indy could have been the Belloc right here, where he says, "You want to see the ark opened as much as I do."
I am merely a
Yeah.
capitalist reflection of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would have like probably, I don't know, take her on as a prisoner, but also gone to Akato. What would have happened?
Oh, see, I
They,
suddenly like the
cuffs
idea
her.
of a lot better of them having a symbiotic relationship. Like, what if they need both of them to get to the skull?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
because it's all Indy, but what if he needs her too?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Aliens
Let's
are
just
Rocky
say-
trying to bring the West and Russia together in the boxing ring.
I also like that Jerry just made a Three Stooges sound when he whoa, like unintentionally.
That's what we have with the when he hits him with that big branch,
Yeah.
that big branch.
Yeah.
It hits him right over the square in the forehead, and the branch just breaks right down the middle.
That's almost, and it is almost the same sound effect as Marion hitting the guy with the flaming stick back in Nepal. I think
Yeah.
that's the
Oh,
almost beat for beat.
Oh,
that
it's
sound.
one of my favorite parts of the movie. The guy goes, "Oh." That way, it's like satisfying, and I think his hat is sort of like a little bit. It almost like it's like his hat is a whoopee cushion, and she hits it, and it's just sort of the sink in.
Yeah.
so,
I did,
something. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I was just saying I did like the continuity of the wheel that was cut in half by the spinning forest cutter. That it's still there and it's still maintaining its shape and managed to stay on the hood.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't even noticed that. Oh, yeah, that's
Wow,
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Is there some I'm watching Devchenko getting pulled into the thing again? Is there some kind of like ironic commentary on like a communist being attacked by these creatures that work as a whole and only serve each
creatures.
other, and it's all a shared effort? And I don't know. Is this his dream come true? Is he being brought back to another form of the motherland or something?
Workers of the world and drones and a queen.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, so
Oh, yeah, it's a monarchy, so it's not.
Yeah.
The means
we're
of
going to have
squishiness are in the hands of the workers.
a problem here. So if say the Russians got away and Spalko's dead and Davchenko's dead, would they then take the skull back to Akator right now if they're not being chased at all?
Yeah, I think they would.
I think they would.
And what would they
Two.
do with it when they got there?
That I don't have any idea.
Like,
I don't know
put
why
it
Indy wants to
back
get it
on
there. But he said he wants to take it there. Maybe he thinks that's going to bring back Oxley.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he kind of owes it to Oxley. Like Oxley needs this. And
Yeah.
to be fair, Indy's an archaeologist and he's curious about this stuff and he wants to see
would
what's
that
up.
then complete the Returno?
Maybe. Returno is just Oxley's thing, though, isn't it? Like that's not like a skull thing necessarily. Returno.
Well, you make you think that. So this is kind of like an ET thing where the skull wants to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I figured the skull is whispering to Oxley, return. Apparently, the skull can't say return.
No.
It
Yeah.
says returno.
Right. Tried it in both languages it knows.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the skull speaks, Oxley writes returno. I don't know if that's.
But remember, in German, it wrote it the wrong way. Like it meant it return in the sense of a person going back someplace, not in the sense of returning an object to a place.
What's really annoying is that what you're describing, Jerry, of like just like there's no chase, there's no bad guys, and they're just like, let's go to Akator. That makes tons more sense than what Indy's trying to do now, which is race the Russians there with the Russians on his heels, bringing the Russians to Akator, which is what he doesn't want to do.
Why are in the last couple of frames of this minute? Why are Marion and Mutt and Mac exactly 3 minutes behind? I don't understand. Like they had the fights, and then they were like, what were they doing in the meantime? How long is that? Just trying to start the car? were they reading the instructions books, and where the
Well, she drove by the cliff edge, so maybe she wanted to look at the scenery for a while.
Yeah, or she did some calculations for could a Jeep go over that cliff?
Let's go see how the fight's going. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, we left your dad back there. Yeah.
But then there's a weird moment. It looks, I don't think this is what happens, but it looks like Mac kicks the back of Mutt's seat really hard. But I think I think Mutt's leaning over to open his door for Indy, but it looks like Mac just kicks him in the back.
I just saw that. That's really
It's really weird.
That's really weird.
Yeah, he's like waving his arm too. He's like slapped him as well as
That's incredible. Wow. Everybody should go check that out. Very end of minute 88.
He actually yells out Jonesy again.
Jonesy,
yeah.
Jonesy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of yelling things out, coming in over the wire, hot from Professor Christy Porter. Let's see what this says. Jim O'Kane.
Oh.
What should NASA send up next?
Oh.
NASA send up next. Well, I hope they send something to the moon. I mean, however even if they got to pay Elon to do it, I hope we can get to the moon before I'm dead. Okay, let's just do that.
Why the moon?
I think the moon's
Returno.
Returno, yeah. Returno. They're gonna bring the crystal skull back there. I'd like to see them get to the moon, and I want to see high definition pictures of. I mean, like everybody right now. I think I'm the only one that was. Were you guys alive in December of 1972?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember it that well.
You don't remember it that well.
Old.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the last time. The last time we stepped foot on the moon was December 17th, 1972. Wow. And I'm the only one that remembers that. And I don't want. There's more people alive on Earth right now who have never seen a moon landing than there were people that on Earth at the time. So
that's crazy.
It is crazy, and I think we need to get back to the moon. I'd like to see people land on the moon. I want to see the James Webb space, which is probably going to be in a week or two. So maybe by the time we hear this, it'll be already there. The James Webb Space Telescope is going to go up, and we're going to actually see the surface of another planet orbiting a different star. That'll be something
amazing.
Really?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
The idea that you can see something with like the clarity of how we see Jupiter or Saturn, seeing it orbiting another star. That's the future I'm looking forward to.
Holy
that's a good one. I remember hearing that the surface of the moon is so pulverized that it's very, very powdery.
Yeah. It's a couple of inches thick, and
Yeah.
it's very abrasive too. I mean, it's like
Oh.
if you ever stepped on nettles on like if you go through a especially in Texas, if you walk through and you step on nettles, it's very like that. There's like stickers for that soil, so it's very hard to walk on. A lot of people don't realize how dark the moon is. The moon has an albedo of 18, which is about the same as pavement.
Wow.
You look at the moon in the sky and you think, oh, nice white, gray white rocks.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
actually more like asphalt. So it's a very dark moon. But yeah, I'd like to see a lot more of that. And as we're recording this is the day that we saw William Shatner go into space. So
Yeah.
there's hope for us all.
Isn't the moon, like, relatively speaking, is one of the largest satellites in our solar system, is it not?
Right. Yeah. It's 1/4 the size of Earth.
Which is like huge.
Yeah. There's nothing that even compares. And it may be, there's theories that it's one of the reasons that we have life on Earth is because we have these strong tidal forces that can move water back and forth and make, the land recede and things. So, so it's an important
Kind of like when you're playing in the bathtub.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And you move.
I am the moon. Yeah.
Tidal forces.
Speaking of satellites, one of the most amazing things I've seen, was pretty freaky to see it though, was maybe it's 2 months ago when I saw a Starlink,
Right.
like not the launch, but the satellites, like Elon Musk's satellites. And Jim, you helped figure out what this was, but it was like this long line of lights, like slowly moving across the sky like a train.
Yeah, it's like a string of pearls, and we've had what they call constellation satellites. That there's a grouping of satellites. There's one called the A train that goes over every afternoon all over the Earth. It goes over once a day, and there's about 9 satellites that some collect information on infrared and UV light, and they do a lot of Earth resources data collection, and that's been going on for almost 20 years now. But every afternoon over your head, there's a string of satellites, and there's going to be a lot more now with Starlink, and I can't name all the other. Amazon's got one, the Russians have one, the Chinese have one. So there's a lot of freight trains going overhead.
Man.
Boy.
How do I segue from that to finding out what Jim's least favorite Indiana Jones movie is? Because
Well, it's got no satellites in it, so I can say no. My ordering for Raiders, and like it or not, I like Raiders first.
Sensible.
Last Crusade, then Crystal Skull, then Temple of Doom.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that. But
You're not
Temple
the
of
first
Doom
person
might be-
that's like Temple of Doom less than Crystal Skull.
That is true.
I mean, I know Lucas and Spielberg were both going through nasty divorces at the time, and the negativity in it, I think, came through in the movie. It's just a lot of the cruelty to children and all kinds of stuff that really bothers me with Temple of Doom. So it's itchy.
They get saved at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
They get to go home.
Hooray! I was once on a plane. I was on a plane going from Austin to Dallas once, and I wound up sitting next to Amy Irving. And just 45 minutes on a plane, I was like, how could Steven Spielberg leave Amy Irving? So maybe
you
I
asked
just
her
take
that.
it personally. Yeah, why is that?
Yeah, what's with that Spielberg?
But that's my only personal investment in that. But yeah, that's my my indie score, and we'll see what 5 turns out to be. It could be my favorite, could be my least. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how the deck shuffles.
Yes.
Sure.
We're all excited. It's gonna be interesting and maybe even good. But until then, that'll be a while. We'll of course have you back if we end up covering that minute by minute. But thank you for joining us for these 2 minutes.
Yeah.
87 and 88. This has been awesome.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And I appreciate talking a lot of space stuff. We do a lot of space stuff on some of my previous podcasts. We've done the Rocketeer Minute, of course, which is 1930s rocketry. And then, of course, we did Apollo 13. And we're going to have, in 2022, we are having a crossover. And both Hal Bryan and Chris Henry and I are all getting together. And we're going to go over, I might as well announce it now. So this will be your breaking news here. We are going to be doing 76 episodes of every segment of the HBO 1996 series From the Earth to the Moon.
Wow.
Wow.
So we're
Awesome.
going over one segment at a time. And we have, I can't reveal all all the people we have on, but we have some really amazing guests coming up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And Tom Hanks, if you're listening, you owe us. So don't forget to be in the show. You didn't show.
Oh,
you didn't-
he's listening.
You didn't show up for Apollo 13, but you better be. Yeah,
That
but
bum.
we'll see how that turns up. But yeah, just watch for that. You'll be able to hear that on either the Rocketeer Minute or the Apollo 13 Minute. We're going to kind of cross feed it on our
Very
on
cool.
our podcast feed. So
Nice.
stay tuned.
This
Awesome.
is not the show to ask Tom Hanks, though. This is the show that makes him angry. after Jerry said he was famously super nice, and then our guest Joe Spaley said, "What?"
Oh yeah, Joe
Okay.
Spaley had stories.
Yeah.
Well, I tried. He was going to be on our show, then he moved to Greece. Like
Like people do.
yeah,
Yeah.
just a thin excuse, but
Sorry, I'm moving to Greece.
Try and get out of it.
I'd love to do it, but I'm on a plane and we're off. We go to Athens.
Oh,
Yeah, but no.
Yeah, breaking
So
up.
hopefully he'll be on our show. Yeah, we've got
that'd be
some
awesome.
other people coming up. Some of whom are like William Shatner. They've been to space, so
Oh,
Yeah.
very
to
cool.
chat with them.
Awesome. Well, thank you for chatting with us. Everybody
thank
out
you,
there,
Tim.
thank you for listening to us. And please come back next week for minute 80, let's say 9, right? 89
Yeah.
of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull right here on the Indiana Jones Minute. Do it, Jerry. Do it.
I don't know.
I don't even know what I'm asking. Just do it. Do it. Do it, Jerry.
Oh.
Oh, perfect. There you go.
That was good.